Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.
Hey, fine folks. Welcome to Saturday Night Dialogue. This is Freedom Fighter, and it is Saturday, September the 27th, 2025. Folks, we are going to go into detail tonight about Vietnam, how they just passed another law that will help to strengthen the value of the Vietnamese dong and raise its value coming forth if they are expected to be upgraded to a market economy, their stock market, that is, next month. Then we're going to go into detail about what backs the currencies in the new banking system that will allow the RV. So, of course, you wouldn't want to know that. What's going to back our currencies in order for the RV to happen, would you? Well, if you do, stay tuned. We're going to find out tonight. Let's get into some prayer, and then we're going to get into quick announcements, and we're going to jump right into the call. Father God, we always give you grace, honor, glory. We thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here once again. Without you, we would not be, not just here, we wouldn't have life, wouldn't have breath. We wouldn't even have existence. We thank you for your sacrifices that you've made for each and every one of us to have the opportunity of life. We thank you for blessing us to be able to learn about this blessing and this opportunity that you are bringing forth to us. Father, I would just ask that you continue to allow each and every person that tunes in to our podcast, not only on Saturdays, but daily, and who comes into the room for that light to spark in just one person, because that's all it takes for a ripple effect to change their life and the families and the people that they meet from this opportunity. We know this is the destiny of many people. We know that there are many lessons that are to be learned from this experience. We ask that you be merciful on those who were not merciful on the people with their information that they've put out. And we ask that you continue to just give grace to each and every one of the people out there, no matter who they are, and whether even the injustice that they have put on many of these people. But again, the lessons that these people need to learn, and we know it's going to be painful, but we ask that you allow them to be able to handle it gracefully. In your precious name we pray. Amen. All right, folks. Tonight, real quick, let's get into some announcements. Of course, Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room is a read-only room now. That is where for the last year, we started out 6 days a week, bringing you details from Goldilocks on the RV, along with the help of Wiley and his wisdom in the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room, along with the tribe, and helping people to be prepared, to get prepared, and establish relationships with the actual bankers. That's the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room. There is a wealth of knowledge in there. If you are late to the party, if you are not aware of what you need to do to get prepared and how to establish your relationships, this is where the 8 steps are. The Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room, along with the wisdom and knowledge that Wiley has shared on establishing relationships with bankers. Wiley, myself, and the tribe were there 6 days a week. Then we went 5 days a week. Then we went 3. Now we're read only. All right. And then we have Dee's room, where she shares articles from around the globe on the global financial system. Then we have the Crypto Finance Room with Dave Rose Big Dog. If you have questions about crypto, I believe that room you can ask. I don't think it's read only, but you can go back and forth and get your questions answered there. And then we have, of course, the global podcast, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Over 80 countries that are tuned in and subscribed to the channel. Over 1.9 million views in just shortly over 12 months to Goldilocks Global Banking News. We are now over 20,000 subscribers to the channel, and it is growing rapidly. We are grateful that people literally from all across the globe are finally able to tune in to receive the facts and the information they need regarding the RV daily. You want to understand up-to-date daily facts with receipts. Tune into Goldilocks Global Banking News every single day. All right, beautiful folks, let's go into this. Let's get this party started. I see Wiley. I think Wiley may have some guests. He may not be able to speak, but if so, we will bring Wiley on if you're available whenever you are. If you are, let's get rocking and rolling, folks. This is a jam-packed call tonight. A lot of information, so we don't want to have any more delays. The one and only Peculiar Ram. If you can come to the microphone, please, young lady.
Hey.
Microphone check. 1 2 1 2. I hear you.
Did somebody say party? I heard party and I got excited. So happy Saturday, guys.
Yes. How's your Saturday been? Been good?
It's been pretty good. I had a good nap earlier. So I'm really in good spirits.
My Lord,
I'm ready to party. It's a Vietnam party.
It is. It really is. Now, so you got my note on. I'll read the Goldilocks information that does not have the articles and links, but
okay,
of course, as you well know, where we are going to start, folks, where we always start the Saturday night calls now, and it was you, Peculiar Ram, Brunette Grand, I believe.
Grand.
Yeah, and the beautiful Glass Half Full suggested that we start the calls off on Saturday with this, folks. You may have not heard or read the leak, this article from the Trump administration from April of 2024 about the RV, literally about the RV, and how. I know, folks. I know many of you don't. It's not important to know how the RV will happen. You know, it's just you just want to know the date, rate, and time. Of course, I understand. Absolutely. But what we're going to do, what we're going to do, just if anyone cares to know how it will happen and you know what's behind it and Trump's strategy, this is it. From the article, my good lady, you can go ahead and light it up.
All right, let's get this party started. Currency revaluation is likely to be a priority for some members of a potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit, said one former Trump administration official, adding that Lighthizer and his team are the primary advocates for the approach. But weakening the dollar could have other far-reaching consequences, from sending consumer prices for imported products soaring to inviting retaliation from other countries and threatening the dollar's role as the world reserve currency, which would undermine U.S. sanctions on adversaries like Iran and Russia.
And just no coincidence, earlier, Goldilocks posted this, and I think we're going to read it tonight, but Goldilocks states, just so you know, the fiat currency dollar is completely detached from gold at this point. The dollar has lost 99% of its value. And folks, Goldilocks has been sharing this with me for the last several months, how the dollar is consistently losing its value. And actually, it's been happening for a while. In the media, gives the impression, of course, that the dollar is the big bad wolf, but it's not. It's a little baby cub right now, because it's getting weaker. Naturally, in the U.S. and all over, people would think that this is a bad thing. No, it's not. It's actually a good thing, because as the dollar gets weaker, foreign currencies get stronger. As the dollar gets weaker, foreign currencies get stronger. Why? Because the dollar, for the last 50 plus years, has been the world's reserve currency, meaning all the countries around the world, they had the US dollar as their major currency of doing transactions. They used some of them used their own currencies. A large part of them used their own currencies for the most part. But when it came to a lot of trade, and when it came to 100% transactions in oil, country to country, they were all using the US dollar. So just imagine billions and billions daily. So you can equate it to trillions of trillions of dollars in transactions monthly in oil and US dollar. But just now, what's going to flip is major usage of transactions around the world are going to be shifting to those countries' own currencies. So the dong will be more utilized in Vietnam, the dinar in Iraq, and not just in their countries, but around the world, and other countries and their own currencies. So folks, it's about supply and demand. The more demand for a country's currency, the higher the value of their currency can become. Not will become, can become. They have to have the reforms, laws to support it. Vietnam has it now, the laws and regulations to support it. Iraq, their digital asset regulations. The US, the same. President Trump, his first week in office, he implemented his digital asset working committee, and then all of a sudden, June, July, we had the Genius Act, stablecoin regulations, which are digital asset regulations. Just imagine 7 months into office, and Congress passed digital asset regulations that President Trump wanted, and he requested his first week in office. Within 7 months, you can't even take 7 months for the Republicans and the Democrats to even have a respectful conversation.
True.
But digital asset regulations, folks, our currencies will be exchanged in the new digital asset-based banking system. So for that banking system, in order for the currencies to be revalued in, don't you think we don't need regulations for digital assets, do we? Nah, not important. See, I got a new little strategy. I'm going to have to do a little reverse psychology on some of y'all and start tricking you into the truth.
I've noticed that too.
You notice that? Because when you tell the truth, some folks get offended. They get the boo-boos and the bum-bums hurt. So I got to trick them. I'll continue. Goldilocks continues by saying, this is the weakening of the dollar, folks. This is why the Basel III is coming into play. Specifically October the 1st. It will make us a gold-based economy again, allowing real values. What's the first letter of the word real? R. What's the first letter of the word values? V. Gold our assets will be based on gold and allow real values to surface in the market once again instead of speculative values. Folks, the rates that exist on all of these foreign speculative currencies, they're speculative rates. Something that is speculative is not actual or factual. It's speculation. The US dollar at one time was real value. Now that's speculative now. It's getting so weak. But gold, folks, gold will set us free and support all the currencies around the world. It will free our global currencies, Goldilocks is saying. Gold will free our global currencies from manipulative behavior or from manipulated rates to market forces determining the rates on these currencies. You mean to tell me that the market would determine these rates? The IMF showed us that. FOREX says that. Supply and demand is what determines the values on rates. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes. Folks, I hope that you are holding on to your diggity dong.
No diddy.
I hope. Oh, please no. I hope. Now, folks, what Peculiar Ram is about to share with you, and pay attention, these are 8. See, when it comes to facts, I just thought about something. Peculiar Ram, I'm gonna do an audible real quick. I'm gonna post something in the room.
Okay.
Do you see this? I just posted in the room.
Yes.
This is from Webster's Dictionary. Can you read what a rumor is?
A rumor is a currently circulating story or report of uncertain or doubtful truth.
That's a rumor. A currently circulating story or report of uncertain or doubtful truth. Is that what it says?
Yes.
Okay, let's get into some. So if it's
They laughing.
Uncertain or doubtful truth. Let's get into some. You know what? I have another audible. I'm going to post something else to the room. I want you to read this real quick before we get into the facts, because we showed how last week the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, where the International Monetary Fund in writing did or did they not say that Vietnam has now they actually recommended for Vietnam to float their exchange rate based on, but what it was called in writing and factual by the report was a flexible exchange rate. They recommended that Vietnam that uses a flexible exchange rate, and then we saw that what that means based on the definition in the finance industry. A flexible exchange rate means a floating exchange rate, right?
That's a fact.
Okay, now let's see here. Speaking of, you said that's a fact. I'm glad you said that. Read this right here. What this says, in my opinion, means.
In my opinion means according to what I think or believe, signaling that you are about to state a personal viewpoint that rather than a universally accepted fact.
Oh, so this states that if someone says, in my opinion, it's a viewpoint. It's not an accepted fact.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead into what directly from the State Bank of Vietnam, folks, which is the central bank of Vietnam that governs the Vietnamese dong. And what they're stating, these are the 8 requirements that a new law that they just passed that will strengthen the value of the Vietnamese dong. And this is directly from the central bank. The floor is yours, young lady. The order was mentioned. This week, this happened. Go ahead.
You ate that. Okay. The order was mentioned in the central bank's, the SBV, document number 8292/NHNN-QLNH, released on Tuesday.
I was going to tell you you have to read all that, but listen,
Okay.
just think. But that's fine. That's fine. This is like a serial number, a law, folks. Every single law that is passed into law, whether United States, Iraq, Vietnam, any country, unless it's a small third world country where they just got villages and huts and stuff like that, they just pass a law and say that's law. But folks, this is law where it can be tracked, it can be traced, it's recorded into a register. Number 8292. This does not say opinion. This doesn't say in my opinion. This is not a rumor. This is the actual law that was released on Tuesday by Vietnam. Let's get right into it, young lady. Go ahead.
The document outlines key updates to Circular Number 3 and Circular Number 25 by the State Bank of Vietnam to facilitate the upgrading of Vietnam's stock market status by easing regulations for foreign institutional investors.
So what she's about to read, folks, is how Vietnam passed a law this week. It seems like they're passing new laws every single week, but this week a new law that will enable them more regulations for their stock market to be upgraded, which October the 7th is the decision. The stock market upgrade, folks, would expose Vietnam to over 16 let me rephrase that. It will expose the Vietnamese dong. It will expose the Vietnamese dong to over $16 trillion in investment potential, with over 90 plus asset managers around the world. So think of the new access that the Vietnamese dong would be available to with foreign investors. And folks, for those that have been following for the last several weeks or months, you should have noticed the pattern in the reports that are coming out seems like almost every single day from Vietnam about everything they are doing, the laws that they are passing, regulations they are implementing in order to prepare for their stock market to be upgraded. Folks, this will allow the Vietnamese dong to have more international access. This is why when President Trump announced in June, when Vietnam rushed to the table to negotiate the tariffs, Vietnam was one of the first 3 countries to call President Trump to come to the table to negotiate. And at the end of those negotiations, which actually they are not totally complete because they're still going back and forth with some last final touches, but President Trump announced that the United States has full market access, and he put it in all caps, full market access to Vietnam's economy. That means, folks, that's full market access and availability to the Vietnamese dong, which did not exist before. So just like last Saturday, some of you probably weren't here. You're probably not aware. But where Goldilocks presented and showed, here we are, more fact. You know what? As a matter of fact, I think I'm just going to post that into the room real quick, can kind of touch on it just to give you a quick reminder, if you will, of the charts shown where the Vietnamese dong was dead in the market in the red, dead in red for many years. But then on September the 15th, it went from red to green, the dong on FOREX with new potential for increased values. Okay, now, I just wanted to briefly show that. Now you can get into this, young lady. You can continue.
Below is a concise summary of the changes in Circular number 25.
Circular number 25, folks, is a new law, new regulation for their stock market to be upgraded. This is record. This is not rumor. This is not, in my opinion. This is law. Go ahead, young lady. Fact.
Number one, not boots on the ground either.
Exactly.
Number one, authorization for payment accounts. Article 6 allows foreign investors engaged in FII, which is foreign institutional investors, activities to authorize financial institutions to open, close, and use payment accounts on their behalf.
1 second. So this is important, folks. For the first time in Vietnam's history, they are not just allowing foreign investors to come into Vietnam to invest, but to allow them to open and close payment accounts and have a intermediary to do it on their behalf. See, folks, before, historically, Vietnam would not allow foreign investors to come into Vietnam to invest. Because, see, Vietnam operates under what's called a socialist-oriented economy. So what they have historically wanted to do is to maintain their historical value and their culture of doing business, which means to not allow outsiders to come in to Vietnam to do business on a large scale. They wanted to maintain and preserve their cultural identity, which doesn't only mean food, music, language. It also means how they do banking and do business. So now this is new chartered territory for Vietnam, where they've actually passed laws, not just lip service to say, come on in, foreign investors, but they passed laws to be in alignment with the requirements of the FTSE Russell for a stock market upgrade. Folks, all of this that Peculiar Ram is about to share with you from Goldilocks, that Vietnam passed these laws, is to open Vietnam's doors to allow the dong to be accessed globally on a scale that has never been available before. This is the market access that President Trump was talking about, not just from trade, but now market access to their stock market. So now what Vietnam is doing is they're releasing the restrictions and the bottlenecks so that investors can freely come in to Vietnam to do business, and not just physically, but again, electronically through their stock market. You ever heard of the New York Stock Exchange, folks? You ever heard of the NASDAQ, folks? The Dow Jones? It's all electronic. This is the equivalent that Vietnam will have and the dong will have access to, so that investors from around the world can access the Vietnamese dong like they never have before, because Vietnam had a closed door policy. They've now passed laws to make sure that anyone and everyone knows how serious they are to opening their economy and opening the Vietnamese dong to the world. Number 2, young lady.
Removal of consular legalization.
Mm-hmm.
The requirement for consular legalization of documents in the application process for opening payment accounts has been eliminated.
So before, any investor, foreign investor that wanted to open an account, a payment account to invest in Vietnam, they had to go over the river and through the woods and through the cornfields with legal documents, and they wouldn't get approved. Because Vietnam, wouldn't you? This is why Vietnam has been Well, they were strategic. They were strategic because they got their
Yeah.
economy is the fastest growing economy in the world over the last 20 plus years.
Very true.
But they kept foreign investors out and did it. Number 3.
Expanded identification documents. Foreign investors can now use various identity documents issued by competent foreign authorities, not limited to passports. Clause 2, Article 3.
Number 4.
Number 4, no monitoring of document validity.
Hold it. Hold on a second. Hold it. No monitoring of document validity, foreign investors. Just come on in and invest in Vietnam. Bring your billions and bring your trillions into Vietnam, and you're going to use the Vietnamese dong when you do. And guess what, foreign investors? There's not going to be any monitoring of the document validity as long as it's through the proper authorities. Come on in. This is an open door policy now.
It's a party.
Right. Go ahead.
Banks and foreign bank branches are no longer required to monitor the validity period of identity documents for account holders and related persons during account usage.
Did you hear that, folks? No longer. So listen, they're telling you what it used to be and now what the new law is. Banks and foreign bank branches are no longer required to monitor the validity period of identity documents. So I'm not saying this will happen, but these foreign banks and these investors can create identity documents in their basement in the underwear and just say, okay, here, Vietnam, here's my documents. Vietnam will say, okay, come on in. Full market access now. Go ahead. No, but you see the contrast? And they're saying how it was before, no longer required to monitor the validity period of identity documents. When before it was very stringent for documents to, and also that's another thing that's not in here, but not in this report. But folks, even before, all documents, all websites within Vietnam, everything was in the Vietnamese language. So foreign investors had to, if they wanted even to invest in Vietnam before, no matter what language they spoke, whether it was English, Arabic, Spanish, it didn't matter. They had to convert documents into Vietnamese. But Vietnam passed a law to change that, to allow English now to be a universal language of all documents and all throughout the whole entire banking industry within Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Number 5, no signature seal sample updates. Banks are not obligated to maintain and update signature or seal samples for registered customers for verification during account usage. Point C, Clause 2, Article 6.
No signature or seal samples. I tell you, if this was America, or Telegram, it would be scam night and day. The scammers would have a party. They would have a party.
Yes.
Vietnam is literally opening the doors, the windows, the garage, saying, come on in, foreign investors. You don't need to show us documents. You don't need to show us proof. If there's COVID, you don't even need to take a COVID test. Come on in. We don't care. Just come on into our country because they know. See, and folks, these are requirements. And speaking of the language about everything in English, also, these are requirements that the FTSE Russell gave Vietnam so that they wanted to be approved. These are some of the requirements, and Vietnam did them all, passed them into law. Go ahead. Oh, this next one is heavy. This next one is heavy. Go ahead, young lady.
Number 6, SWIFT system usage. Banks and foreign bank branches can utilize the SWIFT system to open and manage payment accounts for foreign investors conducting FII activities.
Now, this is heavier than heavy. Folks, the SWIFT system is the global bank transfer, money transfer system in the world. If it's your mom and pop bank where they still got passbook savings accounts in your town, or if it is your local community bank, if it's a tier 1 bank, the central bank, no matter what, all banks are connected to the SWIFT system. And for those of you who heard the rumors that the SWIFT was going away, Goldilocks has always shown that it will run in parallel to the quantum financial system. So here we have, folks, Vietnam wouldn't even allow foreign banks and foreign investors to connect to the SWIFT system in Vietnam. It was a total, complete shutout. But now, a part of this law, banks and foreign bank branches can utilize the SWIFT system. Folks, the SWIFT system is how money moves. And now, because of digital assets, they'll be able to move through the banking system, through SWIFT and every other system in the banks instantly, which means also instant exchanges, no matter where the transaction is done in the world. So Vietnam is saying now, you can use SWIFT in our country now, from now on, foreign investors. Just bring your business, because we know it's going to be converted into the Vietnamese dong, all transactions. Number 7,
electronic account opening. Clause 2, Article 7 permits opening foreign currency payment accounts electronically.
It permits opening what?
Foreign currency payment accounts.
Electronically. Folks, they didn't even allow FOREX accounts electronically with foreign companies, foreign investors before, until now. Is this a rumor?
No.
Okay. I'll just check. Number 8,
no biometric verification for transactions. Clause 2, Article 8 removes the requirement for biometric verification when withdrawing money or conducting electronic payment transactions.
This I would not want to be associated with this loose requirements, but hey, it works. It's fine. Go ahead.
Listen, they open it up. Pause. These changes aim to streamline processes, reduce administrative burdens, and enhance accessibility for foreign investors in Vietnam's financial markets.
See, this was very critical, folks, because this, when it speaks of streamlining processes and reducing administrative burdens, it was literally a deadlock. It was like Fort Knox for foreign investors to go into Vietnam. They didn't want to go into Vietnam and invest. And folks, just imagine if you have a country that, like Vietnam, that's been the fastest growing economy over the last 25 years, but foreign investors can't even go into set up shop like they really want to. How can their currency, the dong, even become more useful and have more demand? That's all changing now. All changing now.
According to this article, Vietnam has completed their requirements in time for them to be upgraded to an emerging market status on October 7th, 2025. They're taking off the cobwebs, guys. They're dusting off all the cobwebs.
Yes. They are getting
ready to party. And I'm here for the good party.
They are absolutely getting ready. Now, folks, we're going to get into, these are the 8 requirements. They're not the only. Let me make sure that's very clear. There's been many requirements that they have met. Folks, they have actually, so don't think of their stock market upgrade, which will be one of the several milestones that will begin to move. Well, the Vietnamese dong is already moving now, but that will move it up more to where we can see a float. Is they've been working with the FTSE Russell. We showed you all last week where they were in London when they met with the London Stock Exchange and they signed the MOU with the FTSE International. They've been working in collaboration with the FTSE Russell. They've been getting assistance by the FTSE Russell to be reclassified by the FTSE Russell. And this is something they've been working on, folks, literally since 2018. This is not something that just came up all of a sudden. This has been in the work. And this is also another reason why. And what we showed you last week by the IMF, where the IMF recommended for Vietnam, they let them know you can float your exchange rate, you can float your currency, because Vietnam has met all the requirements. They've gotten all the assistance, even from the IMF as well. Go, young lady. You can jump on into speaking of the FTSE Russell.
All right.
The efforts described. Mm-hmm.
The efforts described, such as Vietnam's collaboration with the London Stock Exchange and FTSE Russell, market reforms, and investment promotion, could indirectly influence the Vietnamese dong's value, but the impact on currency appreciation is complex and depends on multiple factors. Potential positive impacts on the dong's appreciation. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Increased foreign investment.
We just talked about that, right? Increased foreign investment. This will have a positive impact, folks, on the Vietnamese dong. Go ahead, young lady.
The investment promotion conference and efforts to attract foreign investors to Vietnam's stock market could lead to higher capital inflows. Increased demand for the dong to invest in Vietnamese assets like stocks and bonds could strengthen the currency.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, market upgrades. Vietnam's push to upgrade its stock market status from frontier to emerging market status by FTSE Russell could boost investor confidence. An upgraded status often attracts more institutional investors, increasing demand for the dong.
So as more investors flood into Vietnam and do business with Vietnam, invest in their stock market for their stocks, their bonds, and their assets to go out into the international global stock markets, where accessing trillions and trillions of dollars from investors, it will increase the demand for the Vietnamese dong. And the raising of value of currencies comes from supply and demand for that currency. It's no different than on FOREX daily, 24/7, 365, when FOREX traders buy and sell various foreign currencies for a living. They are able to do so because the supply and the demand for those currencies on FOREX are constantly changing by the second, not only by the minute, by the day or the month. They change by the second. Literally, foreign currencies on FOREX change by the second. And as a matter of fact, there is something on FOREX called option trading, where you have that, where I don't want to get too technical, but where an investor can buy or sell a currency and set a price for how much they will buy or sell it. They can do that 10 days out, 30 days out. So for example, I can buy the Vietnamese dong on FOREX and put an options trade in to say in 30 days, this currency is going to be the value of the rate is going to be X. Let's say, for example, the rate is going to be, I'm just using that as an example for mathematical and realistic examples. Let's just say, I believe the Vietnamese dong in 30 days is going to be worth $1. Just using that example, I can put an order in as a Forex trader to say by October the 27th, the Vietnamese dong is going to be worth $1. So I'm going to buy it now for 20 cents. Not just one, I'm going to buy a bunch.
Double up.
Right. For 20 cents per dong. Because I believe by October the 27th, it's going to be worth $1. So now, as a trader, as a Forex trader, if by chance by October the 27th, that the dong is worth $1, I just made an 80-cent profit times how much of dong I purchased as a Forex trader. That's how it's done daily. Or if I wanted to sell the dong, if it's worth right now $1 and I think it's going to be worth 20 cents by October the 27th, and that is the case it is, well, I'm going to make profit. 80 cents still, because you can buy and sell and make profit in the Forex market or any stock market exchange transaction. That's just how it works. That's the supply and demand of the industry. I just gave you a little education on how it's done so you realize the reality of Forex and how it works. A rate doesn't just poof, pop up and appear out of thin air, folks. Okay, you know what? Oh, yes, it does. And those that are telling you that it's true. It's been true for all the weekends, right? Believe it, because it's gospel. That's how Forex works.
Yes, Lord.
Mm-hmm. Go, young lady.
You are funny. Number 3, financial market development. Developing green bonds, sustainable securities. I'm on the right one?
Yeah, you are. I'm just thinking the word bond. Someone got triggered when they heard green bonds. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Developing green bonds, sustainable securities, and fintech innovations could enhance Vietnam's financial market appeal, drawing more foreign capital and supporting the dong appreciation.
You see how, folks, more. So we have one, increased foreign investment can increase the value of the dong. Market upgrades can increase the value of the dong. Financial market development, developing green bonds, sustainable securities can increase the value. All of these go into how the currency, the Vietnamese dong, will be impacted in its value. Go ahead, number 4.
Number 4, improve transparency and governance. Aligning with international standards on corporate governance and ESG could make Vietnam a more attractive investment destination, potentially increasing foreign direct investment, FDI, and portfolio investment, both of which could bolster the dong.
Limiting factors. These are specifics. 4 that could limit the factors. Go ahead, young lady.
Number 1, currency peg and state control.
State control, folks, is the control of the dong by the Central Bank of Vietnam. The Central Bank of Vietnam is called the State Bank of Vietnam, just so that you're aware. So when it says state control, it's not like the state of Arkansas or the state of California. This is the Central Bank of Vietnam. Go ahead, young lady.
The dong is managed by the State Bank of Vietnam under a crawling peg regime, where the exchange rate is controlled within a trading band.
Continue.
Reminds me of the Bollinger Band, but anyways, even
Yes,
with
that's
increased...
exactly what you're right. No. I'm glad you said that's exactly what it's like the Bollinger Bands. Absolutely. Where the trading of the currency or any asset is done within that band. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Even with increased foreign investment, the State Bank of Vietnam may intervene to limit sharp appreciation to maintain export competitiveness.
That's very important what you just read, folks, to understand. The Central Bank of Vietnam may intervene to limit sharp appreciation on the dong. Basically, what it's saying in layman's terms, the Central Bank of Vietnam may intervene to not allow the Vietnamese dong to raise in value so fast, but they will manage it in a controlled situation. Go, young lady. Number two.
Number two, global economic conditions. External factors like the U.S. interest rates, global risk sentiment, and regional currency trends like the Chinese yuan heavily influence the dong's value. Stronger global currencies or tighter monetary policies abroad could offset domestic efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, trade balance and inflation. Vietnam's trade surplus supports the dong, but rising imports or inflationary pressures could counteract appreciation. The effectiveness of these financial market reforms in driving export-led growth or controlling inflation will matter.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Go ahead.
I want to add this real quick. I just posted this one more time because Goldilocks is talking about trade surplus and trade, folks. Let's go right back to what President Trump's administration said. Currency revaluation is likely to be a priority for some members of the potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit. And the opposite of a trade deficit is a trade surplus. So when Goldilocks is talking about what will have impacts and factors on the dong, number three, trade balance and inflation. Vietnam's trade surplus supports the dong, but rising imports or inflationary pressures could counteract appreciation. You see how it is all coming back to what President Trump's inner circle said, how he will focus on currency revaluation through trade?
Yep. Prophetic.
But don't listen to this, folks. This is factual in writing from the source. It's much wiser for you to listen to rumors and opinions. Go, young lady.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Number four, time lag. Y'all, I'm just kidding. Structural reforms, such as those discussed, often take time to translate into tangible economic outcomes. Short-term currency appreciation may be limited until reforms are fully implemented and recognized by global investors, already noticed by traders, consulting firms, and bankers. Which I concur.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say Goldilocks is touching on something.
I concur, yes.
From your own bankers, right?
That. Exactly. No rumor.
What Goldilocks is saying, short-term currency appreciation may be limited until reforms such as these that Vietnam passed and others are fully implemented. You have to give them time to warm up, folks, meaning these reforms, and recognized by global investors, already noticed by traders, asset managers, consulting firms, and bankers, where, folks, many of our members, and like Prakuya Ram just mentioned, with her bankers, they're sharing this with them. The actual bankers are sharing exactly this, what's happening with currencies, folks. But come on. Why in the world would anyone in their right mind that has invested in these currencies, why would someone in their right mind want to create a relationship with a banker?
I don't know. That sounds absurd.
Why would you want to create that relationship and have the blessing, bestowed upon you, like Peculiar Ram and many other folks, where the bankers are sharing what's going on with currencies around the world from the inside. Why would you? You know, to say crack is whack. I hope y'all ain't smoking no crack. Who would want to do that? Who in the world would want to have a relationship with bankers that are sharing about what they're doing, what's happening with currencies around the world? And talking to you about these bankers are openly sharing to their clients about what's happening in currencies around the world?
Why would you want to join us? Why would you want to join that? It would be such a waste of time.
It would, yeah. You don't want to do that. Conclusion.
Vietnam's efforts to enhance its financial market, attract foreign investment, and align with global standards could create conditions for dong appreciation by boosting capital inflows and investor confidence. However, the managed exchange rate regime, global economic factors, and the time required for reforms to take effect may limit or delay significant appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
The dong is more likely to experience gradual strengthening rather than sharp gains, assuming reforms are successful and external conditions are favorable,
Mm-hmm.
which is smart.
Mm-hmm.
If I put 20 years into opening up my store, I'm not going to just do it right then and there because people want me to. If you
Mm-hmm.
took that loan to invest into your craft, your business, your whatever, you don't rush it.
Right. You manage.
You
Is you have to
manage it.
manage. You have to
Exactly.
manage it. And as your business grows, then you can add additional products and services
Mm-hmm.
so that you're in alignment with the growth. Just imagine
Mm-hmm.
you open a business and you stock all of your shelves with all these different products that you have to pay for, but you don't have the clientele just yet strong enough that will be able to come in and purchase all of these items and get them off your shelf. You have to gradually grow that business.
And boost their confidence. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But who would in the right mind want to do that? You don't want to do that. Go, young lady.
Okay. Example, clear ownership rules prevent sudden sell-offs by foreign investors, reducing downward pressure on the dong and fostering conditions for appreciation.
Yeah, let's go to conclusion. We're good from here.
Oh, conclusion? Okay.
No, you're good. Mm-hmm.
Conclusion. Decree 245 2025, I'm just going to skip the rest, opens the door for the Vietnamese dong appreciation by attracting foreign capital inflows, enhancing market liquidity, and strengthening economic fundamentals. Increased demand for the dong to purchase securities, coupled with improved investor confidence and economic stability, supports upward pressure on the currency.
Upward pressure
However,
on the currency. One second,
mhm,
beloved. Upward pressure on the currency, folks, is the pressure, for example, underneath the dong that will raise it up in value. All of these factors play a role to increase the value of the Vietnamese dong by putting upward pressure on it. Go ahead.
However, the extent of appreciation depends on global economic conditions, the SBV's exchange rate policies, and effective implementation of the decree. While significant appreciation is possible, it is likely to be gradual and managed to balance investment inflows with export competitiveness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. Now. The genius.
Gotcha.
Implementing the Genius Act. Now, folks, this is what Goldilocks is sharing now. The digital asset regulations. This is all connected. The Genius Act, folks, is a stable coin regulation, which is digital asset regulations. When President Trump first came into office in the first week of January, which his first inauguration week in January, he created the working committee, the working group for digital assets regulations. It is digital asset, folks, in the new banking system that allows us to exchange our currencies. There's no way around it. The digital assets supports the dong, supports the dinar, supports the USD, supports every currency in the new banking system. We are moving from the old system to the new system. And in the new system, there's no longer going to be fiat currencies. You must have something of value, of real value, that's going to back our currencies. Digital assets such as stable coins provides the stability to back our currencies in the new system, so that when we exchange our currencies, the amounts that you exchange for will remain and not be reduced because of a quote unquote crash. With no stable coins, if there's a crash, you have nothing. Without gold, if there's a crash, you have nothing to back your exchange. There's nothing to. What are you going to do? Go and exchange and take a wheelbarrow with you and take all your cash and go home? Not in the banking systems here. It don't work like that. They don't have that type of cash on hand. Digital assets, stable coins, which is through the Genius Act, is what gives us that stability. Go, young lady. Implementing the Genius Act.
The U.S. Treasury is seeking public input on new stablecoin rules under the July 2025 Genius Act, with comments due October 20th, 2025. This advance notice of proposed rulemaking, ANPRM, covers issues like the regulation of foreign stablecoin issuers, anti-money laundering obligations, and the balance between state and federal oversight. The ANPRM implements the first federal framework for payment stablecoins, requiring one-to-one backing and establishing a system for licensing issuers.
The requiring one-to-one backing, folks. I'm going to say this again. I've said it before. This is the dollar. This is one-to-one backing of every currency behind a stable coin. For example, and this is all predicated upon the US dollar as $1. Every currency, the dinar, the dong, the peso, the rupiah, whatever currency, it doesn't matter. They will be backed by a stable coin that has the equivalent value of $1. If it's the dinar, it will have the backing of a stable coin equivalent to $1. If it's the dong, it will have the backing of a stable coin equivalent to the value of $1. The peso, you name it, doesn't matter. That is how it's designed in the new banking system. That is how stable coins are designed, one-to-one. It does not mean that a currency in itself cannot be greater than the value of $1. It just means at a base level, that currency will at a minimum be backed by a stable coin that is equivalent of the value of $1. So if a currency is $1.50, it at least will be backed by a stable coin of $1. It doesn't matter. It is stable coins, folks, that allows the stability of a minimum value on the backing of a currency. That's it. And it is stable coins that electronically enables the movement of our currencies in the new banking system. Go, young lady.
What is the Genius Act? It is the first federal law regulating payment stablecoins, creating a framework for their issuance and oversight. It was enacted in July 2025 to balance stablecoin innovation with consumer protection, financial stability, and risk management. It mandates that stablecoins be backed one-to-one by specified assets and be issued under a federal licensing regime. What is the Treasury's role? The Treasury Department has issued an advance notice of proposed rulemaking to implement the Genius Act.
Mm-hmm.
The ANPRM invites the public to provide comments on how the Treasury should craft the detailed regulations for stablecoin issuance and oversight.
So here we have, folks, the U.S. Treasury. There are several agencies, global agencies, that oversee the RVGCR. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the BIS, Bank of International Settlements, and the U.S. Treasury Department. The U.S. Treasury, folks, will now overseeing stable coins. One of the reasons is because the Treasury will be overseeing all transactions in the new banking system with digital assets and all transactions, including foreign currency exchange. Because the Genius Act is digital asset regulations that President Trump wanted and got passed through Congress. It enables all assets to move in the new banking system backed by digital assets, so that, and especially for transactions that include foreign currency exchange, so that they're backed, they're supported in the new system. Go, young lady.
Key areas for public input. Foreign issuers. The Treasury is seeking comments on establishing criteria for foreign stablecoin issuers to operate in the U.S., ensuring their regulatory and supervisory regimes are comparable to the U.S. framework.
And just so you folks know, the comment period is just formality. So the public can never say that they didn't have the opportunity to come and to make comments to the U.S. Treasury. It's like in your local town, your little city hall, whatever it may be, when they're discussing certain new laws that they're going to vote on in the town, what do? They have a comment period for you as the public to come in to the city hall or town hall at the time of the council meeting, city council, town council, whatever it is. And there's an open public discussion. You know how when people come all of a sudden to these town hall meetings and they got an opinion on everything?
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. This is the same thing, but on a federal level. You know how in your little city town that no matter what, the same person that looks kind of cuckoo that comes to the microphone and got something crazy to say at the town hall, they're going to pass and vote. Well, they may not pass. They're going to vote whether to move forward or not. Doesn't matter what these people come up and say to the microphone. It's just a comment period.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't appear as if it's a dictatorship where the public they give the appearance that the public's opinion matters when we know it don't. Same thing here. Right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
AML and sanctions. Input is needed on how Bank Secrecy Act, BSA, and anti-money laundering AML obligations will apply to stablecoin issuers and related entities.
Mm-hmm.
State versus federal oversight.
Mm-hmm.
The Treasury is seeking feedback on the balance between state level and federal oversight for stablecoins.
Mm-hmm.
Other topics. The ANPRM also solicits comments on taxation, economic data, prohibitions on certain issuances and marketing, and other relevant issues. Comments on the ANPRM must be received on or before October 20th, 2025.
And after that, folks, the Genius Act, although it's implemented in law, it's approved as law, it goes live after that. So the digital asset regulations. Now you see here where the first link that Goldilocks is sharing from this is right from the Federal Register. I'm going to remind you all what the Federal Register is. The Federal Register is a digital historical database. It's a database where laws are recorded for historical purposes. If laws that were passed 50 years ago are recorded in the Federal Register, it's a literally a database, like a hard drive where you record and you save records. It's a record keeping. Mm-hmm. That's the Federal Register. There is, for example, so as these laws, once they go into the Federal Register, it's law implemented, go, gone, done. Just like there is a Federal Register in Iraq. I had to take a sip and let you hear it. Because the Federal Register in Iraq, folks, it's called the Gazette. Yeah, you heard of the Gazette. I don't think you all have heard. I don't think none of you have heard of the Gazette before, have you? See, but in Iraq, their Federal Register called the Gazette, it's paper. It's been historically a paper document until a year or two ago where they created it to be electronic. So the Gazette in Iraq, aka Federal Register, it's a record-keeping database where all the laws that the Iraqi parliament passes just goes right into the Federal Register called the Gazette. That's it. Kuyaran, in the Federal Register here in the United States, for example, we just read here, is the value of the U.S. dollar changed or recorded in our Federal Register?
Is it changed or recorded?
Yeah, the U.S. dollar.
Yeah, no.
It's not.
It's not, no.
No. The U.S. dollar is not. So if the U.S. dollar is not recorded in the Federal Register because it's not the U.S. dollar, the value of the dollar is not a law, is it?
Oh, no, you're right. It's not a law.
Right. So if the Federal Register is where laws are recorded.
Yeah, it would not be in there. The value of currencies, no, it would not be.
You got it. You got it, beloved. So exactly. So the Gazette in Iraq is a Federal Register, and when the Iraqi parliament passes a law, it goes in the Gazette. Would the value of the dinar be recorded in there too?
Nope.
Just checking. Okay.
Because we've seen people say that.
Thousands of times.
Thousands of times.
Yeah. Just, folks, we just want you to know. Just continue to follow what you've heard. That's fine. It makes sense. You see it. You see it's worked out so far. It's been true what you heard so far about the Gazette. It's been true, right?
Is that a rhetorical question? You want me to answer?
You already know. So I want to use this little reverse psychology on you folks. I don't care if you get offended. I don't give a damn if any of you are offended.
Yeah.
I only care about one person that wakes up from it.
Yeah.
Now let's get into the Commodities Future Trade Commission. It is commodities that will be tokenized as digital assets that will back our currencies in the RV. Now, this is the actual global agency, Commodities Future Trade Commission, that is also implementing public feedback and implementing digital asset regulations that our Congress passed, moving them into law. Go ahead, young lady.
CFTC's Tokenized Collateral Initiative, September 2025. The U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission launched an initiative to integrate tokenized collateral, explicitly including stablecoins, into derivatives markets like futures and swaps.
Swaps, folks, includes FOREX. So here we have the launch of the initiative by the Commodities Future Trade Commission to integrate tokenized collateral. Let me explain what that is. Tokenized collateral. Gold is collateral. Currency can be, any asset can be collateral. Tokenized, which is the digital or electronic representation of an asset. Now the Commodities Future Trade Commission, think of the tokenizing of an asset. And here we have digital asset regulations called the Genius Act going into law. So assets, folks, can be bonds, securities, currencies that are electronic, backed by gold, backed by silver, backed by other commodities. This is the actual digital asset regulations being implemented, run in the banking system, from law into action. Go, young lady.
Acting Chair Caroline D. Pham highlighted it as a killer app for stablecoins, building on the 2024 Global Markets Advisory Committee, GMAC, recommendations and the President's Working Group report.
That President's Working Group report was all about digital asset regulations. When he came into office, the January the 20th inauguration, 2-3 days later, he created his working group on digital assets. Months after June, July, the Genius Act was passed, which is a digital asset regulation law. Right in time for when he returned to office, because his administration broke it. Currency revaluation is likely to be priority of the second Trump administration due to the fact of the overvalued dollar and the trade deficit. How is he going to do it? Weaken the dollar. How you weaken the? Why would he weaken the dollar? Because he knew he would back it with digital assets to protect the value of not only the dollar, but every other currency around the world, because these digital assets are going into the whole entire banking system around the world. Go, young lady.
The CFTC seeks public feedback by October 20th, 2025 on pilots, regulatory amendments, and industry collaboration to enhance efficiency and reduce default risks. This follows the February 2025 Crypto CEO Forum and aligns with the Genius Act, the first U.S. stablecoin-specific law passed earlier in 2025.
If anyone asks the question, and if you're thinking in your head, because you see October the 20th, do we got to wait for the RV to after October the 20th? Go ask your wealth manager. Next. Go ahead, young lady.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, because I know exactly. if you're asking that question, you don't have one.
Exactly.
I couldn't help it. You cracking up over there.
That was fun. Go ask your wealth manager because I know you ain't got one. Okay. Tokenized collateral refers to digital representations of real world or financial assets converted into blockchain-based tokens. Oh, okay, I had to get it out. This process, known as tokenization, allows assets like securities, bonds, real estate, or cash equivalents to be held, transferred, and used as collateral in decentralized finance protocols, derivatives markets, or lending platforms. Because I know
Still
you ain't
laughing.
got one. Because I know you ain't got one.
Because if that question, I know that if someone's thinking of that question, they
Exactly.
don't have a wealth manager. Because if you have a wealth manager, folks, you already have a plan in place that you've established with your bankers for your exchange and to manage your wealth when you exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Good, young lady.
I cannot wait to listen to this on repeat. Unlike traditional collateral, which is often illiquid, slow to transfer, and tied to intermediaries, tokenized versions enable instant settlement, 24/7 availability, and programmability via smart contracts. This reduces counterparty risk, lower costs, and improves capital efficiency. For example, by allowing fractional ownership or automatic liquidation if collateral values drop. These developments signal a shift toward hybrid systems, with tokenized collateral poised to unlock $18.4 trillion in DeFi trading volumes seen in 2024. Treasurers and institutions are urged to explore pilots amid clearer US and EU frameworks.
I'm going to share this with you folks by Goldilocks at the end. Goldilocks is saying, okay, so based on all of what you just heard from Vietnam and the regulations that they have passed for their stock market to be upgraded, which will impact the value of the Vietnamese dong, to the Commodities Future Trade Commission and the Genius Act, both digital asset regulations, which is digital asset regulations of the Genius Act, that will now go into the banking system. It's already law, but now be implemented throughout our banking system in October. This is where, folks, Goldilocks is saying, okay, folks, the ability to move forward with stable coins, collateralizing a country's currency, is about to become law through the Federal Register. Stable coins can be backed by a variety of assets, including fiat currencies, other cryptocurrencies, and commodities. This will make FOREX run so much faster. Watch the water. When Goldilocks says this, folks, of how all of this, how stable coins as digital assets will make FOREX run faster. This happens, folks, because all countries, Iraq, Vietnam, Venezuela, Mexico, Brazil, Russia, China, doesn't matter. Every country and their currency will have stable coins now to back those currencies. Stable coins, which are digital assets. Hence, the digital asset regulations and the digital asset regulation law that was passed that President Trump wanted. These digital assets, these stable coins, electronically move currencies faster in the new banking system, because these stable coins have certain mechanisms and requirements that they've had to be approved. This is why Congress in the U.S. took so long. Well, it didn't take a long time. Well, yeah, it did. before Trump was in office last year, they were going back and forth over stable coins. The Democrats said, no, we don't want it. We don't like it, blah, blah, blah. The Republicans say, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. The Democrats put up a fight. President Trump gets voted into office. Democrats put up a fight. They say, oh, he's doing this to enrich himself and his friends, blah, 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 blah. What happened? A large number of Democrats crossed over and voted with Republicans for the Genius Act. Lo and behold, it was Coinbase and other exchanges and digital asset companies that made some phone calls to politicians to say, well, if you don't vote this in, we're going to pull our funding from your campaign. Oh, they had a change of heart.
I bet they did. I bet they did.
And that's one of the ways, probably the reason the way the Genius Act got passed. Stablecoins regulations got passed. But folks, see, these digital asset stablecoins, see, United States has a stable coin. United States does trade with Vietnam. So as the U.S. does trade with Vietnam and the United States has stable coins, folks, Vietnam has to have one. Vietnam does trade with Iraq. Vietnam has stable coins. Guess what Iraq must have? Stable coins. Indonesia, Venezuela, it doesn't matter. Every country that does trade with each other, if one country has a stable coin and they do trade billions daily in transactions, and it's through in that country, like the U.S. has stable coins, in order for a country to do trade continuously with us, they must have a stable, and they all do. There is one universal stable coin that most all countries can use, and that's RLUSD. Ripple Labs US dollar, which is a stable coin. Therefore, FOREX, foreign currencies, Goldilocks is stating, these digital asset regulations, stable coin regulations, now going into effect into the banking system. They're already law. It'll make FOREX much faster. Lastly, just so you know, again, the fiat currency dollar is completely detached from gold at this time, Goldilocks is stating. The dollar has lost 99% of its value. When Goldilocks says the US dollar has completely detached from gold, what Goldilocks means is that the US dollar at one point was the world's reserve currency, number one asset. Because it's getting weaker, it reminds me, Peculiar Ram, of like the spaceship launches coming out of Houston. I don't know what you call it, but when the spaceship goes up, rocket goes. I'm calling it spaceship. Rocket launches, and then it gets so the rocket, the launching, it gets so far up in space, and then there's a part that detaches from it, so it continues. So that it continues to rise. The U.S. dollar, folks, is detaching from gold, so that gold can continue to rise. Because if with the U.S. dollar continuously being attached to gold, well, the U.S. dollar alone being attached to gold, if it was the case, it will continue to keep the price of gold down. So it has to detach because the U.S. dollar is getting weaker. Gold can continue to rise like the rocket that has, I forget the part that breaks off, but the rocket continues to go into outer space. Same type of scenario here. So what Goldilocks is saying, this is why Basel III is coming into play, folks, because gold will be the anchor. It will make us a gold-based economy again, allowing real values to surface in the market, global open market once again, instead of the speculative values instead of the manipulated rates and the manipulated values on currencies. Because in the new banking system, folks, a country manipulating or depreciating the value of the currencies, it can no longer exist. It's not even possible, because in the new digital asset-based system, it is artificial intelligence. It's the electronic means of the new system that, through supply and demand of a currency, will determine the value on a currency. So a country can't keep the value down or continue to suppress it. It would be counterproductive, because those countries no longer depend on the weakening US dollar for their transactions. They will depend on their own currencies, the dong, the dinar, whatever currency it may be. They will depend on their own currency for transactions and trade on the water. All those currencies through Basel III, backed by gold, because that is their anchor. If they continue to hold on to the US dollar and the US dollar is getting weaker, their economies will get weaker, because that's what the US dollar is doing. It's getting weaker. But as Kuya Ram and many other members and their wealth managers have shown them, similar to what Goldilocks has shown all of us, is that the weakening of the dollar is the increasing in the value of foreign currencies. But it is gold that will be the anchor in Basel III. So what Goldilocks is stating, and I will end, is gold will set us free. Gold will set our global currencies free from manipulative behavior of the central banks to market forces, which is supply and demand, that will determine the value of these currencies. Does that make sense, young lady?
It absolutely does.
All right.
It's like getting rid of an old partner who holds you down. Getting rid of it so you can thrive.
It's a divorce.
Yeah. From the US dollar.
Totally.
Absolutely.
It's a total divorce of the US dollar. In these countries, folks, they filed divorce from the US dollar based on non-support, abandonment, and mental cruelty. That's what happened.
We're decoupling from the dollar.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
It's so exciting. So exciting, man. If you guys aren't taking everything from these podcasts, especially the past, I'll say 2 months, have been fire. And implementing said things into your own lives. Decouple from whatever you need to decouple from. Divorce, let go of whatever that's holding you down, whatever is dead weight in your life. I just think it all mirrors. You can take anything that you say in any of these podcasts and mirror it to your own life. What are these countries doing that I can mimic, so that way I can thrive in my spiritual RV in my life, my spiritual revaluation of your own life. And that comes with decoupling and divorcing things that no longer serves you as well, like the US dollar. So,
absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's powerful, because, folks, when you think about you've heard so many people share their feedback from their actual bankers, the asset managers that are sharing with them what they see as a global asset man, as a global firm. Folks, if you don't know who these bankers are, if you don't know who these asset managers are, these are the actual firms that do direct FOREX transactions with Vietnam, with Venezuela, with all these countries and these currencies. They transact daily in the billions of dollars. And have so, folks, historically, because FOREX, again, it's 24/7, 365, and these asset managers have FOREX traders on staff that all they do is trade currencies for a living. All they do is buy and sell these foreign currencies, and they invest them into other markets around the globe. So now these same asset managers, these same wealth managers are now sharing with our members. Not just with our members. Let me be very clear. They're sharing with their clients, all of their clients through newsletters. They can't say invest in this particular currency or this particular asset. But what they can say is, well, our analysis shows that there will be potential interest in emerging market currencies, Asian market currencies, that we are paying attention to as a result of the weakening of the dollar. That's how they word it.
Yep.
They're not going to say you should invest in the dong. You should invest in the dinar. You should invest in blah, 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 blah. They cannot do that. It is illegal on their part. It would be the equivalent of insider trading. Why would they commit career suicide for any of us? Why would they risk losing their license?
Right.
It doesn't make sense, folks. This is why,
quote unquote, speculative. They wouldn't do that for
right,
something that's considered that. Even though we know.
This is why, folks have gotten, they've gotten looked at, and security almost called on them when they ran into the bank talking about, y'all know about that dinar? Y'all gonna be part of the RV? And then for those that try to go in there and you have the mindset of you want to see if they know about the RV. I remember how folks used to come back to the room and we would know within the first 2 sentences, we knew what was going on because they would end by saying that the bankers didn't know that they didn't know anything about the RV.
Yeah.
Really? I guess you followed the 8 steps perfectly.
Not.
So this is why, folks, you must, and I must give credit where credit is due to so many of you who have your established relationships where you're set and you're prepared. You decided to take control of your own destiny. You took a leap of faith. You followed the 8 steps that Wiley, myself, and the tribe shared. You decided to follow the facts that Goldilocks shares every day. And you got direct confirmation from your bankers, from these actual bankers, of everything that Goldilocks has been sharing. Everything that Wiley, myself, and the tribe has been sharing. It's a blessing. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah.
It is.
All right. Yeah. I saw Sally. I don't know, Sally O. Folks, it's been beautiful. Wiley. I see. Well, I'm not sure if I know Wiley had a family function. I'm not sure if he's able to come on or not. If not, I know he said he was going to be with family.
Hey, Wiley. I want to give a shout out to Lady E.
Go ahead.
Because I was thinking about her all week, and I just want to give a shout out Hey, sis. I love you. That's
I'm
all.
not.
And all
Yeah,
the
I'm
other
not.
tribe members. Y'all know I got love for
Yeah,
y'all. But I had to shout out
yes,
Lady E. She was such a huge part of the group and still is.
yes.
And
She's the glue
yeah,
that keeps it all
yes.
together. We wouldn't be able to do it without her. She
And
is the
I was
glue.
in a situation this week where I wish I had the She-Hulk
Mm,
behind me because I needed
mm,
somebody smashed for real. Somebody got on my
mm.
nerves really bad at work. And I was
Oh,
thinking about She-Hulk. And I
wow.
was like, I need my inner She-Hulk to come out. So I thought about Lady E. So Lady E, we love you. And keep She-Hulk in it, girl.
Yes, yes. She is the glue. I
Aw,
tell you,
Lady
we
E.
wouldn't. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to. We would. This room would not be what it
Absolutely
is
no.
without her.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, beautiful folks. Everyone, we love you. We appreciate you. Take heed to everything we said. If anyone got offended by anything that I said, it was not for you. It was for someone who doesn't and takes this and moves on. That's it. All right.
Mhm.
We love you, beautiful folks. Everyone, have a good night. Be well. Be blessed.
Good
Take care.
night.
Good night, all. Ciao.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.